Welcome to the final guide in our Yùn Liù Qì series. This is guide 8, specifically for practitioners in Australia, New Zealand, and anywhere in the Southern Hemisphere. If you have been working through the PDF, you will know that the theory was developed in the Northern Hemisphere. So the big question is, how do we apply it here? The good news is, most of it needs no change at all. It's mainly the seasonal timing that shifts. Let's walk through it together. Let me give you the simplest possible overview first, before we get into the date tables. The things that change are everything tied to the physical season, the 24 solar terms, when Zhǔ Yùn and the Zhǔ Qì period starts, and your clinical calendar. These shift because when it's winter in Beijing, it's summer in Sydney. The things that stay the same are everything based on the 60-year astronomical cycle, the Dà Hán for the year, Tiān, Zhai Quan, the Ke-qi sequence, and the 19 disease mechanisms. These don't change whether you are in Sydney or Beijing. The year Bingwu 2026 is everywhere in the world. What differs is the timing of when those energies show up physically. Think of it this way, the 60-year cycle and all of its characters, the Dà Hán, Tiān, everything, are like the musical score. The score is the same everywhere. But in Sydney, the orchestra plays that score 6 months out of sync with Beijing. So when Beijing is at peak summer fire energy in July, Sydney is in the middle of winter. And when Sydney reaches that same summer fire peak in December and January, Beijing is in the coolest part of the year. The adaptation is really just this. Take the Northern Hemisphere data tables and shift them approximately 6 months forward. That's the whole system. Dà Hán, major cold, is the key date. Everything flows from it. Every Zhǔ Yùn period and every Zhǔ Qì step begins counting from Dà Hán. In the north, around January 20th, the coldest point after the December solstice. In the south, around July 22nd, the coldest point after the June solstice. The reason it's 4 weeks after the solstice, not on the solstice itself, is the thermal inertia. The ground and ocean keep cooling for several weeks after the shortest day. Same principle, both hemispheres. So for Sydney, all your calculations start from approximately July 22nd. That's your New Year 0 for Zhǔ Yùn and Zhǔ Qì. The Zhǔ Yùn sequence never changes. Wood, fire, earth, metal, water, always in that order. What changes is when the first period begins. In the north, wood starts January 21st. In the south, it starts July 23rd. Each period is still about 73 days long. Notice something elegant at the bottom of the table. In Sydney, the water period, which supports the kidney and corresponds to deep winter storage, runs from May 10th to July 22nd. That's exactly winter in Sydney. The theory maps beautifully onto our seasons when properly adopted. For your clinical work, just use the south date column and ignore the northern column. The Zhǔ Qì steps from the same fixed sequence each year: windward, imperial fire, minister fire, damp earth, dryness, metal, cold water. The highlighted step 3 is the Tiān position. In 2026, that's where the guest Qi also brings imperial fire, giving us a double fire. Look at the bottom of the table. Step 6, cold water. Runs May through July in Sydney. That's winter. Cold governing winter. Exactly right. And step 3, minister fire, runs November through January in Sydney. That's our summer. Fire at peak in summer. The theory is more consistent when properly adopted, not less. Here is the proof that the adaptation is correct. The Ke-Qi sequence, including Tiān and Zhai-Quan, is determined by the earthly branch and doesn't change regardless of hemisphere. For 2026, Tiān is always imperial fire, and the Zhai-Quan is always a dryness metal. What changes is which half year they govern. In North, Tiān imperial fire governs January to July, which is the spring and summer. Fire governing summer. In South, Tiān governs July to January, which is also the spring and summer in Sydney. Fire still governing summer. Same logic for Zhai-Quan. Dryness metal, it governs autumn and winter in both hemispheres. This physiological consistency is the proof that the adaptation works. Here is the practical summary for your clinical calendar in Sydney. Spring, July to September, support the liver. This is when liver qi activates, emotion need processing, and the spring tonics are appropriate. Summer, November to January. This is the critical period in 2026. Double fire peaks here. Begin hot in support from October, before the period starts. Autumn, February to May. Lung descent. Respiratory tonics and the descending formulas. Pre-treat lung in from late February before the adverse period in March. Winter, May to July, deep kidney storage. Begin kidney yang support from April. This is the rest time. Don't push a patient to overexert. The key principle for all seasons begins your preventative treatment 2 to 4 weeks before each period starts, not when symptoms appear. This table gives you the month-by-month overview for Sydney in 2026. I highlight the key point. January. We are supposed to be at the end of double fire until the 21st, peak cardiovascular risk, then transition to damp. However, we need to study more in depth whether the January should belong to last year's Wuun Liù Qì transitions. February to March, double damp, spleen under stress. Digestive disorders and the edema will be common. May 11 to 21st, epidemic window. This is the most critical 10-day period of the year. An acute febrile illness risk is flagged in Zhǔ Yùn chapter 71. Start in Tiān from May 9th, 2 days before. October, this is your action month. Everything looks harmonious, but from late October, you need to start your patient on hot in support. Preparing for November. November 21st, the double fire begins, but start protocols from November 7th, 2 full weeks early. December through January, the most extreme heat period of the year in Sydney. These are the 3 dates every Sydney practitioner needs to have marked. Number 1, November 21st to January 20th, double fire, your most extreme period of the year. Cardiovascular, heat illness, febrile conditions. Begin preparing patients in October, not in November. Number 2, May 11th to 21st, just 10 days, but this is the epidemic window. The Zhǔ Yùn flags this as a well-being risk. Start in Tiān 2 days before, May 9th. Heightened vigilance for acute febrile disease throughout that week. Number 3, March 21st to May 10th, fire attacking metal, adverse for the lung. This is Sydney autumn, dry cough, skin eruptions, and the respiratory issues will peak. Pre-treat lung in from late February. The pattern is always the same, intervally, 2 to 4 weeks before the critical period, not after symptoms appear. And that's the Southern Hemisphere Adaptation Guide in a nutshell. 4 things to remember. 1. Shift the date by approximately 6 months. Everything else, the year's character, Tiān, Qi, Shengfu theory, the disease mechanism stays identical. 2. Your Dà Hán starting point in Sydney is approximately July 22nd. All Zhǔ Yùn and Zhǔ Qì calculation begins there. 3. Step 1 through Step 3 of your annual analysis are the same worldwide. Step 4 through 6 use the season date table. 4. For 2026, the 3 critical periods in Sydney are November to January for double fire, May 11 to 21st for the epidemic window, and March to April for the adverse fire over metaling period. The full date tables, the complete month-by-month Sydney calendar, and the deeper clinical guidance are all in PDF guide. Thank you.